Let me just start this way, like you interact with people way more than I do. I used to a little bit, but not in the same sense. So then, do I really know what people are like or what they want? Or, in other words, people come and talk with you. What do they want? What are they looking for? I
Well,
think you know more about that than I do.
the beautiful thing is I don't have to know anything because people come with their own what they want and what they want to know or what they're looking for or what kind of dilemma they might be looking at. Usually there's something that's calling them, whether it's awakeness, whether it's a mystery, something that keeps repeating and they haven't found their way with. But it comes from them. I just listen, um, and then they share what's going on, and I support them to deepen into themselves. So it's almost like they kind of go from coming forward, they fall back in to themselves and then start exploring in that direction. Does that make sense?
Well, I like that word exploring because I think that's probably okay. Let's say this. They probably come. You said the word dilemma. Is that
Sometimes.
some kind of a constant or some kind of a?
Well, what I do is any kind of what looks like a disturbance or dilemma or kerfuffle about life, if it's repeating or if it's disturbing, I like to make use of that energy. I'm very practical. And so I support them to look at it differently than as if it's something they don't want. Um, so I support them to find that inside them energetically. Once they can locate where the energy is disturbed or alive, they can let go of whatever, even the word disturbance, off of the energy. And the energy itself is very neutral. Energy is just energy. It's not positive or negative. It's just the word energy. So there's no judgment on it. There's no huge human collective thing. Like, for instance, the word pain has a lot of judgment on it. Nobody wants it, right? And so there's a big push away. So it's much harder for people to open to energy called pain. But if we can let go of the word pain and just have the reality of the energy there, it's easier to open to and explore and see, okay, well, what's love attempting to say here?
So when you say energy, it manifests in a certain way. So it manifests as a feeling. So then we could even say, well, it's just a feeling. And then judgment on that feeling means whether I like it or I want to get rid of it. And if I want to get rid of it, that's called a dilemma. And especially if it hangs around for a long time or it just keeps recreating itself. So what is it that creates these feelings that I want to escape?
Love.
Love creates the feeling that I want to escape.
Well, it's not so much people try to get away from themselves. The pain is a personal experience. If someone's experiencing pain, it's personal to them. And so they can't actually get away from themselves. So I invite them to sit with it and go toward it instead of away, instead of trying to get rid of it. So the very action of attempting to get rid of it is like a push away. It causes physics. Just like how our foot lands on the ground has the same pressure as our foot. They actually press off each other. It's the same thing as if we're pushing energy away inside ourselves, basically trying to push ourselves away because it's uncomfortable and looking for something to either put on top of it or to get rid of it or change it. That's not what I offer people. I offer people to turn around and fall open to exactly what is here. So when it's disturbing, it's just easier to find. Sometimes it's not really.
Well, okay, I think that's really important, because I would say that let's just call it the human instrument, everything that
Yes.
I got and that I call me, uh, it's not all that good at just recognizing a steady state. Like, okay, all kinds of things are happening right now, and I'm not thinking of any of them. I'm just thinking of what you say and what I might want to retort. But there's so many things happening. But what the human instrument really notices and is good at is finding the difference. So when something new comes
relative.
in,
Yes.
a new feeling, relatively different. And so then this feeling, you call it energy, then sometimes you call it love, but you know, love just is a word that makes, you know, gives you an openness to it and say, well, she says it's love. She says it's love. Well, maybe I ought to look at it. Because then, okay, your other metaphor was for every action, there's a reaction. So then you're saying, okay, I'm pushing away a certain feeling. So then that feeling is pushing on me even harder. I'm making it push by trying to run away. Something like that?
Exactly. Yes. You're pushing it away. You can't push yourself away. Everything that anyone is experiencing is in the place where they are. And it's an experience, whether it's the sound of a voice or whether it's the chirping of birds, whether it's the felt sense of a tongue saying words in the mouth, whether there's earphones on the ears, or whatever it is that's coming in to the whatever the senses are picking up on, you know, whatever awareness is floating with. So it's just here-ness is just kind of a basic location where the system that we are floats here in the midst of all that is. It's just vibrating here, and everything is vibrating together, and everything fits perfectly into its own space. The air comes right up to the edge here, and then there's skin, and then there's a bone under there, and flesh, and all that stuff, right? So it's all here floating exactly like this. So when there's a disturbance, it gives us an experience of being alive. Something's in existence.
I think I like that, but tell me more about what you mean by, okay, we're a system that's floating. We're floating in what? I think we're floating in our conscious awareness, like our conscious contact. And our conscious contact, we could say with reality, but it's really a conscious contact. I know we're conscious or aware of our senses, right? And our senses give us a feeling, and that feeling somehow is our transducer to react with reality. And then you say we're floating in that now. Give a little more
okay.
description
Well, there's
about
this spaciousness.
how that works.
This spaciousness that knows itself is the base, the non-base base. It's really, but it's what everything is floating in is this space, right? And then we can see that there's stuff in it, and everything comes up to. I mean, it's the oneness that we call existence, and it's, in my opinion, it is, and in my explorations, so far 100%, with myself and with other people, it's being animated by love. So love isn't really, it's definitely when you get down into the base note of where love's saying, oh yeah, let's have this happen or that happen. When you get down to where the actual animator is, yeah, it feels like love for sure. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. It's wonderful. But you know, at the top note, it might look like a headache. And so that's love attempting to get our attention. Something wants harmony if there's discomfort. Something's calling for harmony. So as existence plays itself out as us, and consciousness wants to know more of its own experience in the flavor of each individual person, it plays itself out and has its sort of inherent dilemmas or whatever it is that it's here for to get to know, to become more conscious of.
what about this word harmony? Is that a definition? Is that a personal definition? In other words, what's harmony for me may be not harmony for someone else or for you. And did I construct my idea of what harmony is?
Well, harmony is, when the play is harmony, there isn't much of an experience of existence. Awareness is still here, floating, but without something to be relative, right? So love is a harmonious, God, source, feels harmonious to me.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, but you're right. It would be experienced uniquely by you or by me, but we both would know what we're talking about, but we can't exchange that. We can't, I can't give you the taste
of around the bush. We maybe could beat around the bush, but where I'm driving is like, if I'm the one that constructed the concept or the feeling or the experience of harmony, then maybe I could reconstruct it. Because if I'm saying something's not harmonious, it's kind of like saying, okay, I want to get away. I'm in a condition, I want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And what we were saying before is, okay, you're running away from something that seems to be chasing you, condition or, and it somehow gives it force, right? And so a lot of things, if you just realize, well, gee whiz, that's just happening, and
easy to say.
Why should that affect me,
It's
it's a knack. It's a knack. You say it's easy to say. Okay.
But it's because
it's easy to say. It's easy to say when you remain in the same context and the same belief structure, and easy to say and nothing will happen, But until you get out of that belief structure, till you have different thoughts about I'm just going to stick with harmony. What is harmony and what do I dislike? And when you have different thoughts about that, or you don't have to have a flip-flop thought, say, oh, now I like it, before I hated it. No, but you just have to modify it a little bit and go more easy with it, get more open about it. And then you realize, oh, it doesn't really hurt, I was just afraid it was going to hurt.
And that particular journey is consciousness becoming more conscious of itself. So the journey to bring ourselves or to allow ourselves to feel the base note of harmony, that journey is consciousness getting to know itself more in the nuance of whoever we are. And yeah, you're right. I agree with you. The whatever the structure is, has been built upon the conditioning. And so there's channels of energy that are flowing in those particular directions, and they've been flowing in our ancestry, they've been flowing in humanity for quite some time. So it's something else. That's why I say it's easy to say, but not as easy to do, because the flow of the river goes into the conditioning. And so it's like basically
I don't want
stopping.
to make it a mystery.
No, it's not a mystery. Well, but it is.
No, but you got to be very careful with words, or otherwise you're creating something that gets farther away from you. Okay, for instance, if you say, this is consciousness getting more conscious of itself. Okay, well, some people define that, and lots of them actually, but I don't know if it's not necessarily what you mean, but some people define that as like source is doing its thing, right? And source is bringing me along, but no, I would go away from that. It might be true, see, but I wouldn't use that kind of wording. I would say that I'm digging into my consciousness, whatever I am. It's just like my desire to unpackage how I live, and I can only do that by looking at it, and really I can only live differently by first thinking differently, and then by second acting differently, and then my actions are what construct my day, and my actions. You can say, no, I'm forced to do this, I'm forced to do that, I live in a dictatorship, or they tell me what to do. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you don't live in a dictatorship, but still, what you do and what you think is how you receive that dictatorship. I'm just using dictatorship sort of as like a conditioning. I'm living a condition, I've got this job, I got this family, I got these kids, I got this rent to pay, I got this school to send kids to, I got, this is a condition, right? Call that a dictatorship because it's dictating to you, right?
It's based on thought, and it's, we've been trained in so many ways, in so many directions, in certain directions, so that we can find out that those directions don't actually come to harmony. And at some point get curious, okay, if it's not about that, then what's life really for? And exactly what you said, then you get to find your way in a different direction, find a way through and with your own way of seeing it, and coming and landing open with the conditioning. And that, I'm just saying that the side effect of that journey creates new channels for the energies to play. And the side effect of the whole journey is that consciousness gets to know itself, and so do we get to know ourselves. Like, we're not separate from consciousness, so it's
of course, a little at a time.
It's our consciousness.
We're just talking about a little at a time, because we don't mean like all of a sudden we're going to know ourselves. So it just means that we know ourselves a little more, right? Or, we'll just iron out some things that we're doing counterproductively. And we'll say, we'll stop doing that. And then we'll say, oh, well, how about that? I used to believe this way, and now I let go of that, and things are a little bit different. So I don't know. Where should we go with this one? Should we take it farther, or should we call this a session?
Well, I wouldn't mind saying just one more thing, because I think that
please do.
Just full circle is that what you're saying, like each individual person's journey and how they meet whatever it is, the dictator, as you say, or the dilemma, or find their way to relaxing, open in the opposite direction, usually. But it's always comes newly, so we can't really call what the pathway is, except for each person finds that. So yeah, when I meet with people, that's why I don't have to know anything, because all I do is support people to listen to themselves in that other direction, right? Rather than the conditioned direction in the other direction within themselves. And they already know their own details. And then when they find their other direction, they're the ones doing it, not me. Then that is a support to them. Then they know how to open to themselves and explore the nuances of life